So I just got home from a 2-day work trip and I'm tired as hell, and I wasn't planning on doing any videos today, but as soon as I walked in the door, I had two fragrances sitting there waiting for me, and one of them I really wanted to do a first impression on because I've been waiting to get this in. So today we're going to be doing a first impression of a brand new release by LATTAFA. It's LATTAFA KHAMRAH QAHWA. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, let's get it. What's good, my great smelling dudes? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me for yet another first impression video where I'm going to be talking about a brand new release that just came out within the last month. This was talked about on a few other channels already. I didn't feel like picking it up for a few reasons, and I'll tell you guys about those in a second. Before we get into it, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff so that we can get straight into it. And again, Happy New Year to all of you. Today we're going to be doing my first impression of this fragrance right here that is a follow-up to the original LATTAFA KHAMRAH. This is LATTAFA's KHAMRAH QAHWA. So it comes in the same, pretty much the same type of box that the original one came in. It's just Kahwa means coffee, so it's LATTAFA KHAMRAH coffee. And so it's going to be the color of roasted coffee beans, brown. And so this is what the inside of the packaging looks like. It has the same little mirror behind it, which I always thought was kind of neat. But the box is super, super heavy, and if you ever need to like resell them or anything like that or do giveaways, which for you guys probably doesn't matter, but it's huge. So anyway, inside the box you have the same LATTAFA KHAMRAH bottle. This one just has a nice brown gradient, and the liquid is a little bit less ambery and a little bit more brownish color to that ambery color. And then it has the same plastic cap with the glass hefty bottle. It actually seems like it might be just a slight bit different, but it doesn't really matter. And then it says on the front, KHAMRAH QAHWA or KHAMRAH coffee. So I found out after a while that the best way to undo these is just a twist. Just an FYI if you weren't sure. And there we go. So we're going to spray this on my hand. There we go. And let you guys know what I get from LATTAFA KHAMRAH QAHWA. So let's talk about the original KHAMRAH for a second before I smell that, even though I can smell it in the air right now. The original LATTAFA KHAMRAH was supposed to be their own little twist on something like Kilian Angel Share. Even though some people say it's not supposed to be an Angel Share clone, I mean, look at the damn bottle. It was supposed to be their own unique twist on it. And the way that you can explain it is if you kind of took that ambery portion of the Angel Share and then dialed that to 100, dialed to the sweetness to 100, make it a little bit darker and spicier, and then you have a slight bit of the boozy tone in there. That's what it is. It's a sweet ambery scent at its core with a slight bit of booze and a little bit of spiciness in there as well. So let's see what we got going on with this one. That's better than the original. That is definitely better than the original. I can say that. So I did hear rumblings about this, that it was just a slight bit of coffee mixed together with the original KHAMRAH, and that's all it is. And I do understand what they're saying. There's a little bit more coffee than I had expected coming here in the opening. And it's a type of coffee that you would get, and it's reminding me of two different fragrances, at least the coffee from them. Polo Red Extreme comes to my head right away because it has kind of like, not that roasted coffee, but more of kind of like that sweet, creamy coffee that you get from Polo Red Extreme. But this also kind of reminds me of this fragrance, if you guys have tried it, from Bath and Body Works, Whiskey and Coffee, Coffee and Whiskey. I don't own it, or else I'd bring it out right now. This is actually kind of nice. So again, there is that LATTAFA KHAMRAH DNA, that spicy, ambery, very sweet DNA is definitely there. But it's masked and smoothened out by this creamy coffee note. I actually kind of like this. And so I do want to let you guys know, my thoughts on the original are this. The original KHAMRAH, I like it, but there's other things that I would rather wear over it. It was a little bit too sweet for my liking. I probably only wore it like 4 times in the last year, so that will tell you it doesn't do anything for me, and my wife just said it's a little bit too sweet for her. I think she'll like this though, because that kind of synthetic creamy coffee note that you get with it, while it's not too heavy, it's blended in there to where it's kind of masking that original DNA's sweetness, smoothing it out and making it more of an interesting blend. It almost feels like it's making it more wearable as well over the original, because there is that added sweet and coffee note. I actually really enjoy this. This is something that I could see myself wearing. It's something that it has vibes of other things. Again, it does smell like Khamrah, but it's masking that original Khamrah DNA with this nice sweet coffee note on top. You still get a slight bit of that boozy tone, which is why it reminded me of the coffee and whiskey from Bath & Body Works. But instead of sitting here smelling, telling, I'm going to come back in about 35 to 40 minutes. I'm going to ask my wife what she thinks of it. And then I'll be back letting you guys know in about 45 minutes, letting you know what the dry down smells like. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, so we are back. It has been only 30 minutes because it has changed, and I can tell you what I'm getting from this dry down. I didn't need to wait any longer than that. We're talking about LATTAFA's KHAMRAH QAHWA or LATTAFA KHAMRAH Coffee. So, after about 10 to 15 minutes, that coffee note starts to dissipate into the background as that Khamrah DNA does pull forward. Is this redundant to the original? It depends on how many fragrances you have in your collection. If you don't have either of them, I would definitely recommend getting this one over the original Khamrah. I think this one is the better option over Khamrah 100%. The original Khamrah, I would give probably like a 7.8. It's still not my cup of tea because of it's so strong. Well, it does still smell very nice and in that same realm as Angel Share, just more ambery and spicy. Doesn't have that boozy and sweetness that you get from the Angel Share. Again, I'm not going to mention that anymore because it doesn't really smell like Angel Share. It's its own thing. It's a LATTAFA KHAMRAH. This one, it has the coffee note in there. Again, it's a subtle but smooth and creamy coffee that you get from like Polo Red Extreme or Coffee and Whiskey by Bath & Body Works that is masking that sweet DNA from the Khamrah and kind of toning down that heavy darkness and spice that you get from the amber from the original. And then once you get to the dry down, a little bit more of that spice and a little bit more of that deep and darker amber does come through that you get from the original Khamrah. And it becomes like closer to about 75% of what the original Khamrah was. But the one thing that I didn't hear people say is that even though the coffee does start to slow down and go more into the background, what I really do like more about this than the original, at least at this point in time, is that coffee, even though it does become more of a subtle nuance after 10 to 15 minutes, the opening is definitely my favorite part, but after that 10 to 15 minutes, it still plays a part. And that part of it, what it's doing is it's smoothing out and making it a little bit less sweet and a little smoother of a version of the original Khamrah, just with a touch of this unique coffee note. There is a little bit different of a blend. It's not as spicy or dark, and it's smoother. That is what it's doing to the fragrance. So while it is redundant to own both, because after 15 minutes it's very similar to Khamrah, I can definitely say it is, but it's a better version of Khamrah. It's a smoother, it's almost like if you have a Roja Parfums Elysium versus Elysium Parfum Pour Homme, where it's just a smoother, longer lasting version of the original. I do want to say, though, this one is slightly lighter than the original Khamrah. So if you loved the thing about Khamrah is that it was really strong, in your face, sweet, long lasting, this probably will still be long lasting, but it seems like it's calmer and a little bit smoother than the original. Again, it still is sweet. It still does project a little bit above average, but KHAMRAH Coffee, I would give this probably an 8.2. I think that it's a really nice fragrance. I think that they did a much better job with this, and I like the gradient of the bottle better, even though I still don't like the square. It is what it is. I think that this fragrance, even though the coffee dissipates after about 10 to 15 minutes. I think it is a nice addition to any collection out there. If you're looking for something sweet, something subtle with a nice little coffee note in there, a little bit of amber and spice that works its way in, and then eventually you do get to a smoother, kind of a little bit more complex version of the original Khamrah that just seems like it's almost a bit higher quality, even though there are a lot of synthetics in it. Great scent. There's nothing else to say. It's a fall and winter fragrance for sure. It's still going to be closer to a night out scent. On the colder days, probably wear it all day long. Do you? But Khamrah Khamrah QAHWA, it is definitely an 8.2 for me, at least here from the opening. I'll come back in a full review in a little, probably about a week or so. I am really tired right now, so this might be jumbled, but with that said, Khamrah Coffee, you definitely should get your nose on it if you can. I found it for, what did I get it for? $35 on Amazon, so can't really beat that. I bought it with this, which is I'm going to be reviewing as one of my next videos, Nishane's Wulong Cha, which you guys know I love that fragrance. So anyway, really good. Well done. The coffee in it, I wish the opening would last longer. That's my favorite part, but it does dry down and just becomes a smoother, slightly more better blended version of the original Khamrah with a touch of coffee and not as heavy or spicy or even as sweet as the original, while it still does remain to be a sweet fragrance. So yeah, let me know if you've tried this, what you think. And again, I'll be back with another video. Peace out.